Do church girls test men with the same artificial drama, aka poo tests, that their secular sisters do? Yes. If you've tried to date church girls in the last decade or so, you've probably seen some strange things. The weirdest of these being when things seem to be going great and, you've exchanged some instant messages, maybe took her to Claim Jumper a couple of times, and then out of nowhere, she's just done. Not interested anymore. No explanation, just gone. And sure, she says she's not ready for a relationship, but then she shows up to the YP function wearing Chandler like a Temu cardigan. And maybe that happened because it's just God's will for you to be single forever, and he just whispered in her ear to stay away from you, though somehow I doubt it. Or maybe she tested you to see if you're worthy of being her partner, and you got a fat F on that test because you didn't even know it was happening. Today, we're going to make sure that that never happens again. Step 1, understanding the tests. But wait, I hear you say. A good Christian woman would never do anything like that, would she? Intentionally creating drama to test my response? Nah, our sweet little Etsy trinket-making, sermon note-taking angels would never do something dastardly like that, right? Right, guys? No, see, I just need to find one of the good ones, and then I'll never need to deal with any of that stuff. You're right. They would never. So anyways, here's how they do it. Side note, once you see this stuff, you realize it's actually not that hard to pass her tests and make that girl feel all warm and fuzzy about you. You just need to know. So let's dive in. Okay, first off, what are these tests and why does she do them?
When a girl is with a confident man, she feels secure and comfortable with letting him take the lead. But how exactly does a girl know that you're confident? I mean, after all, if a hot girl walked up to you and asked, "Hey, are you confident?" you'd probably lie to her and say, "Yeah, I'm super confident," just to try to win her over. So instead of asking you directly how confident you are, a girl will indirectly test your composure, your self-control and confidence with a shit test. A shit test can be a statement, a question, or even an action that's done to try to screw with your head a bit to see how you'll respond.
Okay, quick recap on why she's doing this. So she's got survival instincts, and they are very strong. It's not a bug, it's a feature. God put them there to protect her because she's more vulnerable to more threats than you are. They're telling her that she needs to find a protective shield to stand between her and a world that's trying to kill her. The less capable that shield, the lower her chances of survival. So getting absolutely the best possible partner is not a small deal to her. And like this guy points out, how is she supposed to know if you'll be a good shield? Because a lot of the stuff that would tell her about it is stuff that's you can't see from the outside, like confidence. So she's got to poke and push to see what comes out of you. A lot of the time, there's not really another way for her to know what you're made of. And side note, sad news, these tests don't stop once you get into a relationship or even once you get married, with one exception. And we'll talk more about how to get to that exception over on Patreon, so check that out if you want. What else might she be testing you for?
You can tell a girl something, but if your actions don't line up with your words, there can be incongruency. And women want congruency. So basically, your actions speak louder than your words. And she needs to know that you have strength, because if you don't have strength, then it gives you a lower grade score as a potential long-term mate.
Okay, so that note right there, strength plus trustworthy equals safe. The number one thing that she's looking for is safety. And a big part of that safety is whether or not she can trust you. If a guy says one thing and then responds differently in a pressure situation as she's turning up the heat, that shows her that that guy's not as strong as he portrays himself to be, and he's probably not a safe person to be with. Okay, next question is, what does it actually look like when she's poking you?
Let's say you're flirting with a girl and she says, "Sorry, you're too short for me." Ask yourself, is she saying this just to screw with me? Because the truth is, the vast majority of girls wouldn't say something like that to a guy unless she already had a bit of interest in him, and she's just trying to test how confident he is. If she truly weren't interested in you at all, she wouldn't bother even saying something that quote-unquote mean, because you're completely irrelevant to her.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like, she's gonna poke at sensitive spots to see how you react. This is an insecurity test. Church girls might be a bit nicer than this about it. They might just, subtly flirt with another guy, laugh at his jokes a little too loud in front of you to see how you react. I actually had a girlfriend confess that she did that to me before we were dating. Like, she would lightly flirt with other guys to see what I would do. Or this was a really clever one. Back during the lockdowns, when Among Us was exploding, I had just started dating a girl and I told her that, me and all my friends were playing this game, and she got super excited and she's like, "Oh, I want to play with you guys." So the next day I was like, "Hey, we're playing tonight. Do you want to join us?" And she was like, Nah. I mean, really? You were super excited last night. Are you sure? Like, did something come up or... Nah, I'm just not feeling it. And I was like, oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. Weird. And it only got weirder because as the night went on, she was posting pictures of herself just sitting alone in her room watching a TV show that she'd seen before. So it's like you wanted to hang out with us, but you skipped it for literally nothing. And you're trying your best to make sure I knew that. Now, my instinct in that moment was to get all needy and be like, oh no, did I do something wrong? Is she upset with me? Did I say something? I mean, maybe she's losing interest in me. Like, I gotta find out what it is and go fix it. Fortunately, I resisted that urge, and instead I was just like, okay, cool, you do you. And then I ignored her for the rest of the night and didn't text her the next day until she messaged me, and everything was great. It was better after that than it had been before. What the heck? And it was at that point I realized that was a test. She was looking for that insecurity and neediness that I felt. And if I had shown it, she would have been out of there. I know this because there was a later test that I failed and she did leave. So the worst thing you can do in this situation is lose your cool. Get upset or sad or needy or insecure, cower and back down. No, any of those responses, instant fail. You're done. Because that reaction just told her a lot about you, and it was not what she wanted to see. It didn't make her feel safe. All right, what else might she do?
It might look like canceling or rescheduling dates, or especially last minute. Or it might be where you've chosen a venue and she shows up and she doesn't like it and she wants to go to a different venue. It could be arguing with you about insignificant issues or trying to get you to change your mind to agree with her.
Yeah, compliance tests. I had girls do this a lot, to the point that it got kind of weird. I would be like, hey, let's meet up at Bajuki's. And she'd go, nah, let's go to Jabuki's. And I'd look it up and it's like the same thing, except this place has crepes on the menu that she's not going to order. It had nothing to do with the place. She was testing to see if I would stick to my guns and show some spine, or if I would cower and go along with her. If you offer her a plan for something and she counters it with a different plan, be cautious. You at least have to ask her why. And if she can't give a good answer, then probably don't go along with it. Stick to your guns. Okay, what else?
And then, once you're actually in a solid, committed relationship, some of the tests that she might present to you at this stage of the game would be trying to keep you from going out with your guy friends, or trying to keep you from hobbies that you've enjoyed for many years.
So yeah, more compliance tests, and then as the relationship goes on longer, they start to morph into what they would call dominance tests. It's not as scary as it sounds. Basically, she's testing the strength of your leadership. Do what I want you to do instead of what you want to do. Go my direction instead of your direction. And this isn't necessarily because she wants to overthrow you and be the leader herself. She just needs to know if you can easily be pushed around. Because if she can push you around, how much more can the people around you who you're supposed to be protecting her from, how much more easily can they push you around and push her around by extension?
So the more you let her push, just like a little kid, she is going to get away with more, but she's going to respect you less. And respect precludes attraction. If you do not have her respect, she will not be able to get aroused for you. And she will keep wanting to test you until you can show strength, because that's when she will be able to submit and relax back into her feminine.
Okay, relax back into her feminine. That's an interesting way to phrase it, because it kind of ties into what we've been saying about safety. Because if she feels safe, then she can relax and be her natural feminine self. But if she's not safe, she may feel like she has to take on the masculine herself. And also what we're seeing is that the order of attraction seems to go safety, respect, attraction. Men that make her feel safe gain her respect, and that unlocks the possibility of attraction. So maybe give it a pause before you give in to all the little redirections and course changes that she's pushing for. Because yeah, you can buy some short-term peace by giving in to her, but the more you let her push you around, the less she'll respect you and the less she'll be attracted to you. But if you maintain your course in those moments, you pass her tests and you gain her respect. She feels safe to relax back into her feminine. And that puts her in the soil where her attraction can flourish. So now that we know a little bit about what these tests look like, how do we handle them once we spot them?
The 3 A's stand for agree and amplify. How this works is that you agree with any test she gives you and then even exaggerate it for humor. This is super effective for passing tests because instead of showing to her that you're bothered by her test, you find it amusing. So going back to our original example, sorry, you're too short for me, we can pass this test by using the AAA trick, agree and amplify. You can respond with something like, yeah, I'm an absolute midget. I can't even ride on roller coasters even when I'm wearing heels. This takes away the power of her test and makes you look like a self-assured boss.
And yeah, don't be afraid to give back to her what she's giving to you and roast her a little bit. I used to get really frustrated when I'd watch other guys actually do that, and then it would work for them. I'd be like, man, why is that sweet Christian girl with a guy that's so mean to her, right? She should be with me because I would treat her so much better. I'd be nice to her. She doesn't want nice, though. Nice is feminine. And even lesbians aren't attracted to feminine. Even Christian girls would rather be with a jerk who makes her feel safe than a feminine nice guy who would treat her better. Because sure, he's maybe a little arrogant and yeah, he's kind of a jerk sometimes, but he passes her tests and that's what matters to her, right? Because he's got fortitude.
So again, we're gonna pass this test with AAA, agree and amplify. This would look something like, yeah, I'm gonna go home and cry all night listening to Drake. Again, you're agreeing with her, but you're exaggerating.
Don't forget to make it funny. Because tests like this are a tense moment for both of you. There's a lot at stake there. And humor diffuses that tension because it lets her know that your puny little test is beneath me. And you'd think it wouldn't, but it makes her feel a lot better about it. So
make it quick, make it funny.
Okay, what else?
And the reality is that we teach people how to treat us. So the more you let her push, just like a little kid, she is going to get away with more, but she's going to respect you less.
That's an interesting note there. We teach people how to treat us with our actions. You might have heard it said another way. How we treat ourselves is how other people will treat us. If you treat yourself like you're not worth very much, she's probably going to treat you like you're not worth very much. If you act like your thoughts and opinions, your directions for your life, the things you want to do don't matter and that you can just give them up at any moment for her whims, she's going to treat you like what you want and where you want to go and what you're doing don't matter. You're teaching her how to treat you every time you give in to her. So keep that in mind.
Whoever is willing to walk away from the deal has the greater negotiating power. So you always have to maintain, now and forever after, that you are willing to walk away from the deal. That she's the lucky one to be with you. You have to have that internal mentality that you won't put up with crap. Otherwise, you're going to have to put up with crap. And she's going to feel that from you. And when she feels weakness, then she will constantly need to test you.
This is a tough one. Yeah, whoever can walk away has the most leverage in the relationship. And this is a difficult one for us to talk about as Christians because divorce is not okay to us. But when you're dating, this is really tricky. Women tend to have a lot more leverage in this area. They have a lot more options out there than the guys do, and they instinctively feel that. All of us do, which is why guys try to pass those tests by placating or appeasing or giving in to them all the time. And then they end up confused and frustrated when they give her what she wants, and she just keeps treating them worse. So if you're in the flirting or the dating phase, you have to act like you're a catch, that you're a guy that other women would want. She's not your only chance at a good relationship. Okay, an interesting bit about why this is happening. Women tend to outsource a lot of their decision making about men, not just to other men, but to other women. It's really hard to figure out who's going to be a strong, safe partner, so they collectively share the burden of it. So if lots of other women act like, oh, that guy's a catch, when the girl starts to think like, oh, well, they must have all done their research about this guy, so they must be onto something. But that means in reverse, if you act like you've got no other options and, oh no, this is the only girl that I can get, that triggers her instincts to be like, hey, whoa, if no other women judged him to be capable of keeping them safe, then maybe I'm wrong about him and he's not good enough for me. I lost more than a few good Christian girls to that when I was dating. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have too. So never act like you would be devastated if you didn't end up with her. Carry yourself like if she leaves, that's fine. I'll go find someone else. And I know that's not as romantic as you want it to be, but dating isn't as romantic for her as it is for you. Thanks to her survival instincts, it's a lot more like you're applying for a job and she's got to screen you for the proper qualifications, to fit the role. Okay, how else can we handle it?
You need to be cool, calm, collected, grounded in your masculinity, and basically think 007. Non-reactive. As soon as you show an emotional reaction, that's feminine. Women are emotional. Men are stoic, strong.
I wouldn't say don't show emotion, because that can be incredibly boring. And being boring is almost as bad as showing weakness, as far as she's concerned. I think what she means is don't show negative emotion. Emotion isn't feminine. Neuroticism is what will seem feminine to her. And again, even the blue hairs aren't attracted to that. Emotions like fear, worry, insecurity, those all make her feel like you're going to crumble when things get tough. That's not what she wants. Negative emotion is also reactive, and masculinity isn't reactive, it's proactive. You got to show her that you're going to lead from the front in every aspect of your life, even your emotions. You're sending her an invitation to come with you on your journey. She's welcome to come with you to the places you're going and into the feelings you're feeling, but you're not going to follow her into her emotions. Okay, what else?
Another part of it too is lying equals weakness, right? Because lying means you can't accept the responsibility for the consequences of your actions. So no matter what's going on in your world, you need to be able to be honest with a woman, even if you're telling her the thing she really doesn't want to hear. She will be upset in the moment for sure. Expect it, but she'll respect you more. She'll get over it.
Yeah, and giving into her, by the way, is another form of lying. Because nobody agrees with anyone all the time. I think it was John Townsend talked about how one time he was doing a counseling session with a couple, and they were like, oh, we never fight. We've never had a fight in our entire year-long marriage. And he said, really? Not one. They're like, oh yeah, they're very proud of themselves. And he's like, okay, here's your homework. Go home, tell each other what you've been lying to each other about. Because the only possible way that a couple doesn't have conflict is if they're lying to each other and holding back stuff that they want to say. If you always do what she wants or tell her what she wants to hear, she'll know that you're lying somewhere in there. She can sense that. So tell the truth. Stay your course. She might be upset for a moment, but if you lie, she will sense it and she'll lose respect and attraction, because dishonesty is weakness, and weakness isn't, you guessed it, safe. Okay, let's talk about frame. The root of all of this stuff.
Here's the few types of things you're going to hear the woman that you're dating say from time to time. The first is going to be a dare. Okay, I bet you can't do this. I bet you don't know how to do this. I bet you will fail at this. It's a doubt test. The second thing that you're going to hear from time to time is, I can't believe I'm with a guy that doesn't even know how to change a tire. I can't believe I'm with a guy that doesn't even know how to fix a computer.
Okay, competency tests. These, we haven't really looked at these yet. So she's looking for traits and skills that show that you can secure and provide for your household. Because, I mean, providing for a family, like in this economy, like that's hard. You have to be a highly capable person to do that. So she's going to poke and test your confidence in your competence and your capability. And this is a good place to talk about frame control, because that's what's at the root of all of this stuff. He does talk about it a little bit in this video. He doesn't do a great job of explaining it. So what is frame? The easiest way to think of it is it's the premise for the conversation. It's all the subtext and the assumptions that you don't say out loud, but you build your statements on top of them. So for example, if she says, hey, I bet you can't do that, or I can't believe you don't know how to get that done, what's she assuming right there? She's assuming that she brings more to the table than you do, and you're the one that needs to prove your value to her. And she's also assuming that that skill she's talking about actually matters. So entering someone else's frame is when you go along with their assumptions without challenging them. In this case, that would look like getting defensive about it or trying to prove her wrong. If you do that, you're agreeing with her that you do need to prove yourself to her, and you're agreeing that that skill really is important and it matters. Maintaining frame means sticking with your assumptions or your premise for the conversation, even if it's different from hers. And this applies to conversations with everybody, by the way. And that's why she's testing you on this. She needs to know that you can maintain your frame of thinking when other people try to pull you into theirs. So in this example, your frame here should be that you're the one doing all the protecting and providing, so you're the one that brings more to the table than she does. So you don't need to do anything you don't want to do, and you can challenge her right back. Why should I prove myself to you? And by the way, these principles of frame apply to all of the tests that we've looked at so far. So if you want some practice, go back through and look at some of the tests we've looked at and see if you can spot the assumptions underneath those tests. And think of how you might stay inside your frame or your premise in those situations instead of entering hers. And to be crystal clear, you don't need to be mean about any of this. It's better to keep it light and playful and fun, because if you get really intense about it, that adds to the tension of it. Whereas if you're just having fun, like, oh, you're testing me. Oh, that's so cute. She thinks I need to prove myself. That diffuses it. Like this. Here's some examples of what I mean.
I'm gonna have each and every one of you just give me shit test rapid fire.
You're very quiet.
I'm very quiet. Well, I'm very flattered that you want me to talk to you more. That's very sweet of you.
You seem a bit unkempt. Did you just wake up?
Yeah, I rolled out of bed like this. Thank you for noticing.
Oh, you wear pink shoes. I hate that color. It's awful.
Fair enough. Well, it's a good thing you're not wearing them, I guess. But I am flattered you're looking down and checking out my feet. I don't want to know what that means.
All black, really?
I'm glad you like the classy, sophisticated look. Thank you.
Okay, this is super good because, like he says, he's deliberately misinterpreting them in a positive way. I like this. This is cool because this was actually the very first interaction that I had with my wife. We were on a dating app and I think I messaged her like a cheesy pickup line like, oh, you take that cuteness with you everywhere you go. And she replied with, ugh, I wish I could crumple it up and put it in my pocket so that creeps wouldn't keep talking to me. And I'm thinking like, oh, what? Like, is she calling me a creep? Like, honey, you matched with me. What are you doing here? So I could go a couple of ways with that. Like, I could get insecure and defensive and say what I was thinking about it, or I could deliberately misunderstand her in a positive way. And so I think I said something like, yeah, but aren't there positives to that? Like, isn't it nice to be appreciated for the way that you look? And then she was like, oh, yeah, no, totally. Because that sometimes I meet gems like you. And, you know, the rest is history. It works because it's a frame shift.
Frame shift engaged.
Her frame is that she's above you and that you need to take her seriously. But by misinterpreting her on purpose, you're saying, no, I don't. You're not above me. Your test is beneath me, though. And you're doing it in a way that keeps it positive and light so that she doesn't feel slighted.
I love Top Gun over here with like the aviators on his chest. Thinks he's pretty cool.
I know I'm pretty cool. Thanks.
Cool. All right. So I wish you guys were up front here so you could see the facial expression on that. Because the actual verbal part wasn't so bad, but the facial expression was like, we're like checking as you said it to see if it was good, kind of. I know I'm cool. Thanks. Right. It was kind of like a little put on. All right. Relaxed, casual, not a big deal. Doesn't matter, whatever.
Okay, this is super important because your vibe matters almost more than what you say. Because the stuff that you communicate your vibe with, right, your body language, your posture, and all of that, those things also communicate your frame. And if your body language implies that you're just loose, relaxed, you're confident, you feel good, you're not afraid or intimidated by anything around you, then you can deliver almost any content that you want to and still ace her test. Okay, one final disclaimer. If you're still thinking to yourself, this is all wrong, a good Christian woman shouldn't do this, I'm gonna show her this and try to convince her she needs to repent and stop testing me. Read this first. I don't recommend it. But I don't want women to test me anymore. Well, go over to Patreon and watch the video there, or book a session and we'll get you some answers. Anyways, that's all I got. What are some tests that you've failed or some that you've passed and how? Share with the rest of the class down in the comments so we can all learn from it. Stay weird. Get out of here.